So, Josh, we live in this ultra sanitized world and there's a fear of germs. And here we are in the wintertime recording this. And, this idea that you catch a cold from another person and cultivates this stress and fear around illness. Would you argue against that idea? I've heard others argue against the idea that you can actually catch a cold from another person. It's more related to the what you just described. In fact, aspects of like toxins, deficiencies, imbalances that like impair your ability to be able to be in a state of balance, and then the elevated immune responses to them are our sickness.
You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of theories behind that. But if we tie this back to the original question, which is how do we develop good gut health, for example, versus bad gut health right from birth, that first skin inoculation. And there's actually now some interesting research suggesting we get microbes in utero from mom. Right. So let's say you're born vaginally, you're covered head to toe in the vaginal microbiome. That's your first inoculation. Second would be breast milk and breastfeeding. Then you have your environment around you. Now, where we see people getting sicker, one of the things that contribute to this gut imbalance or gut issues is going to be generational dysbiosis, meaning an imbalance of gut microbes. And this is actually research by Erica and Justin Sonnenberg at Stanford, where they've shown in mice studies that if we start to kill off, you talk about hypersanitization, generationally, we are losing microbes due to toxins, due to infections. But let's say, for example, grandma has 1,000 microbes. Let's say great grandma, 1,000 microbes, late 1800s, gives birth to mom. Right at the Industrial Revolution, the late 1800s, 1890s, toxins get into the system, some microbes die. Well, mom's a child now, right? She's running around, becomes a young adult, young woman in her 20s, right at the introduction of penicillin. She gets sick, gets penicillin. So she loses more microbes. And then she gives birth to the next and the next with industrialization, with sugar, with pesticides, glyphosate, chemicals introducing into the system. Where we used to have 5, now we have 20,000 pesticides. We see microbes dying. And so that original inoculation of what a healthy gut would be, best case scenario, you're living on a farm in the middle of nowhere, hands in the dirt, playing with the animals. That's full inoculation, vaginal birth, breastfed. But then we have to today where we are getting sicker, we are losing this inoculation. And this will tie back to what's called the hygiene hypothesis, which you mentioned, which is it that we are too clean in our modern world, which is contributing to illness? I'll pose this question to you. We talk about the 3 reasons we get sick, right? Toxins, deficiencies, and microbes. Now, we know we're losing a lot of microbes. We have the studies to show, for example, compared to rural Nigerian farmers living on the land, just doing what they do, they have much more diversity in their gut microbes than we do in North American cities full of chemicals and the junk in the air we breathe. So we know that. But let's take it back a little bit. If we start diving into some of the research, we can see if 5% of the globe, being North America, has 50% or so of the cases of Crohn's colitis, these are typically severe immune imbalances, imbalances of microbes, toxins, whatever it might be. So we're losing a lot of microbes. But if we believe toxins to be the primary driver of why we get sick, why do we not have more cases of bowel issues and other illnesses like we have here in China or India, where they have some of the highest levels of production and industrialization per capita in the world? You would expect then that per capita, they would have more diseases than we do. But we have both toxins and microbial deficiencies, whereas they have just the toxins without the microbial issues. Have you seen some of the street food in India? A lot of them walking bare feet. There's still public defecation in a lot of major cities in India, right? So there's an immense amount of microbes. I'm not saying we need to roll around in street meat in our own feces, but the idea is that if we're exposing ourselves chronically to the exterior environment, to fresh air, to the dirt, to animals, we have a much more robust immune system and possibly detox pathways to get rid of the junk in our system. So to circle back to your question, are we too clean? I would say absolutely, which is contributing to these microbial imbalances, which is one of the 3 reasons we get sick.